crew, welcome back to another video, another renoise video. We've had quite a bit of request for some more renoise tutorials, also a few questions regarding my last emu video where I demonstrated the beat MUNJAH, which got a lot of love from a lot of people. So today I'm going to try and sort of experiment in renoise and kind of give you an idea of how you could go about getting a kind of beat munging effect in renoise. So without further ado, guys, let's get into it. So I've got a few samples here from the Amen, which I'm just going to quickly mess around with. Now, it's not going to quite, this is going to give you a similar sort of effect to what we were doing on the Emu. And the whole sort of swing thing, which is where the sample's groove changes, is kind of where the most common function of the beat MUNJAH is. So here we go. So I've got a few Akai Amens here, for example, and I've just got like a little time stretch snare. You can do this in Akai's. I'll probably get one of this in one of my sample packs, and then I've got it and I've just sort of chopped it up into different kind of elements. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go into renoise, and we can put the LP beat here, which is lines per beat. Now the lines per beat controls how fast renoise actually scrolls when it's playing back. So for example, if I put that on 12 lines per beat, you can see how quick it scrolls. If I put it on 24, it scrolls even quicker. Yeah, you see, and it's got more lines per beat over the same distance, so you could get more kind of grooves. So for example, if I go here and I put a snare, one, and I put a snare every 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, bosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, bosh, I get that kind of staggered effect, which is pretty cool. Change the lines per beat, 24, and that gives me an interesting kind of element to experiment with. So in which case, once I hear that and I like it, I will then select it, and then I will just render it to sample. Now, before you do that, make sure your BPM is set to the project that you're working on. I.e., I like to work at 168, so therefore it's at 168. So I go render to sample, bosh. Now I've got a nice 168 beat MUNJAH kind of effect on the snare. Right, so I can call that beat MUNJAH. Let's go to my beats section here. Let me just put that in my beats breaks folder, for example. I've done some staggered amens previously before. So beat MUNJAH RN for renoise 1, right? So for example, right, then I'll do the same with maybe the kick drum, right, and do the same here, and just go over it, listen to it. So I can just, you see how it tails off, I can just grab that as well and then render that to sample. And basically what you're doing, you're not actually creating a beat right now. What you're doing is you're creating grooves that are in time to 168 for you to then compile later on and make an actual beat. Okay guys, let's hear 2 more instances now. Let's put this to practical use, right? So we've done all of our little edits, we've experimented with all of our little bits and pieces. We've made a kit up now. The kit consists of all of the cuts and stuff that we've been experimenting with, and I've programmed these up into a little loop. Take a listen. Okay, so you've heard that first loop, right? Now let's have a listen to it with the LPB on 8 and check the difference in the groove. Right, so that sounds dope, right? So now what we're going to do next is we're going to try and program LPB in real time so that we can switch between blocks. Guys, now I'm going to show you some real deep messing about, some real deep experimentation stuff in Renoise that can help also to get a beat munching effect. So now that I've done the LPB and made a fast beat, I then would want to render this beat to sample, right? So now it's at 168, so I go like that, I render to sample. And then I've got a sample here now, which is that beat. And now what I'll do is I'll turn on beat sync, turn on time stretch, percussion, set this to about 16, or actually set this to about 64. There you go. So I'll put that to 64 lines, right? So now what I then do is I'll go to here and then I will put one note on this block here, on an empty block. So I've made an empty block, right? Now you see the flavor. The LP is on 6 and it's giving me another effect. Before we was on 8, remember? We was on 4 and 8. Now I'm going to show you another effect now. If we go back to here, right, I'm going to show you where you go to master block, and you see if you go to here, you go to global commands, right, you see here there's a command here for LPB, which is, I've repeated this pattern for here, I've typed Z, let me just do it in real time, I'll show you, Z all the way through L, so it's a ZL function, yeah. And then all I've done is I'll put this experimental lines per beat. So every time it hits this command on each line, it will change the lines per beat. So I've got here 4. So I put 4 there, 6 there, 4 there, 6 there, and so on and so forth. And check out the effect that you get. So check this out. So you can experiment as you wish. So now this will set the lines per beat, right? You can experiment. So let's say, for example, let's try doing it in sort of dividends of 2. So let's try doing it at 6, and let's try 6 8. So I'm going to do this advanced thing here to 1, and I'm going to make that 8 6 8 6 8 6 8, just like that on the keyboard, all the way down. Now, if you know a better way to do this, please comment down below. That'll give you another feel, right? 6, so we try another one, 8, and you could just render these out, do whatever you're doing. So let's try, all right, let's try 10 12. Let's see what 10 12 gives us. So do ones all the way down there, and every other one, 10 12, like that. Hold on, we got 6 and 8s in there, so it's going to be mad. So let's just quickly zero that all off. Might be too much. So let's go 10 12. Now remember, you could program this in a tune as well. Peeps, just for experimental purposes, let's try something else. So 168 times 2. Alexa, what's 168 times 2?
168 times 2 is 336.
Right, 336. So 336, yeah? So we put this to 336, and then we're going to, so we're doubling the tempo. But what we're going to do now, we're going to expand the block. Expand this master track here, so it kind of thins it out. Let's go again. All right, so let's go back to 168 again. All right, shrink. That was a bit wild. All right, let's try 20. All right, it's kind of out of time now. It's kind of nuts, isn't it? Kind of like the first one that I had when I was doing that. So let's go back to that. Let's try some other experimentations. It was like 4 and 6, wasn't it? No. Using, okay, but we just found another crazy one. This is using the tempo track. So we kind of set this to something extreme. So what I did was I got this snare drum. Right, let's get this all deleted for a minute. And I've got this snare drum. Not snare drum, sorry, I've got this cymbal. And I put it to time stretch, so it's like looped. So it's got a snare on it as well. Tick that to repitch, yeah? And then, right, we're going to try a couple of things. So I've got that at the slowest tempo, 32. And then here, I'm going to set this to the highest tempo. Right, let's get rid of that. And set this to the highest tempo that Renoise can go. Right. And I'm going to go to here, put that to 999. Right. Then I'm going to go here and I'm going to go global commands, and then I'm going to go set tempo. Now I'm not sure if that's done it. Then I'm going to go Apple I. Right, select from here to here. Oh, I've done it in the wrong place. Let me put this over here. Select this. Apple I, yeah. Right. Now, so that should give me. All right, so it gives me. It goes up to 240, 55. So that gives us a nice little effect there, man. We'll experiment with a couple other bits. Obviously render that. So you got a nice little crazy sample set up there, yeah? And when you render it, you could just double render it. Sounds like a rewind. And if you do it like this, put a little loop on it or something, could have some crazy effects, man. Look. Right, so let's try this now. So that was crazy, right? So let's try, just real quick, get rid of that. Get rid of all this. Delete that. Put it over 4 bars. So select that. Delete. Right, so start it from 32. So here, 32. And then over there, stick that to 255. And then pop that in there. Bless you. Then select that. Now port I. You probably could even go even more mad with it if you put some upgrades on there as well. Put it up by in 10s. Right, let's try a beat with that now. There you have it, guys. Beat munching. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. It's kind of beat munching. It sounds quite good and definitely useful for experimentation, sitting there going through this sort of rendering. Try changing the tempo of your track to get various different effects. Like, share, subscribe. Take care. God bless. Peace.